Welcome back to my Hollow Knight series. This series was created to imagine a prequel for Hollow Knight. Over the last few videos, I've explored what the depths of Hollow Nest could look like, looking at the Ancient Basin and Deep Nest. This time, we're instead looking at the edge of Hollow Nest, appropriately named Kingdom's Edge. You'll see new boss fights and old characters make their appearance. This video will contain spoilers for all of Hollow Knight, so make sure to watch out for that. Much like Deep Nest, Kingdom's Edge would connect to the Royal Basin with two passageways. The first is the one I mentioned in the last video that connects to Deep Nest and offers the chance to easily kill Gyra, the boss protecting the Royal Seal. The second passageway connects to the main waterways, but just like Deep Nest requires a new ability, this path requires you to obtain an aerial roll or a dash ability that works in the air. And like the Ancient Basin, Kingdom's Edge has some geographical changes to help expand it. For instance, the area behind the Colosseum now connects to the rest of the area through a series of large tunnels. First of all, let's look at Lim's location. He would be located very out of the way, in the area by the Pure Nailsmith. He would be remarking at the wall in front of him. He'll claim he believes it's breakable, but not with any nail he knows about. After pondering this for a little bit, he'll let you buy a map of the area. Like always, Lim will also offer up some interesting rumors in exchange for a relic or two. He'll remark that there's some strange experiments going on in a tower over by the side of the kingdom. He'll also note that there's a new champion within the Colosseum whose fighting style is supposedly unheard of. And finally, he'll note that a prophet has appeared who claims that the second coming of the worm is approaching. All of these hints lead towards their own separate challenges I'll be going over in this video. First, we have the Strange Tower. Obviously, this is referring to the Tower of Love. When you make your way over there, you'll find a strange bug flying over the tower. If you get close enough, it will fly towards you and knock you to the floor, beginning a boss fight with it. This is the Grub Mother, a fully grown butterfly in an extremely rare occurrence. She looks like a green and blue butterfly with the forked wings, large antennae, and strange blue patterns on her wings. Her boss fight involves a lot of her flying around, then performing aerial attacks. She stays in the middle of the arena a lot, or hovering right over you. She'll have a few attacks. She can settle on the ground and start slamming her wings into the ground, covering the middle 75% of the arena. She would fire little blue circles from the strange patterns on her wings. She'll hover over the knight, then her tail will lash out, swinging twice straight, and then in a lash sideways that covers a large portion of the arena. And she would summon grubberflies to help her fight. This is where the difficulty comes in. If you kill a single grubberfly, nothing happens. But if you kill multiple, you'll trigger the mother's second phase. In this phase, her attacks get much faster, and she'll even have a new one. The new attack would have her fly to the center of the arena, then rapidly flap her wings, sending out red beams like what appears with the Fury of the Fallen and Grubberfly's Elegy combination. Her fight would continue getting harder the more Grubberflies you kill. However, if you never, or barely, kill the Grubberflies, Grub Mother will never enter her second phase, and it should be a fairly easy fight. Once you manage to kill Grub Mother, you can go and inspect the door to the Tower of Love. Upon inspecting it, the bug inside opens the door for you, letting you in. The following cutscene depends somewhat on how you defeated the Grub Mother, mainly whether you use the Void Surge ability or not. No matter what, the bug will introduce himself as the husband of the researcher who owns the tower. He explains that they were both scientists attempting to enhance the abilities of bug kind. Together, they are able to create a hive mind that can join two bugs together forever, which is where the name Tower of Love came from. Many lovers entered in an attempt to become closer together. The bug in front of you explains that now they have set their sights on metamorphosis, and their focus is on grubs. His goal is to be able to metamorphosize other bugs, granting them new and more powerful bodies. This is where the dialogue will branch a bit. If you use Void Surge, the bug will remark that your transformation earlier was the closest thing he's ever seen to metamorphosis. He'll then muse, mostly to himself, that perhaps Void is the key he's been looking for. He'll turn his attention back to you and explain that currently his partner is out searching for grubs to capture for experimentation. To help his research, you could hunt down some grubs also. If you didn't use Void Surge during the fight, the bug will start by explaining his partner's current quest. He'll also say that he feels it's pointless, however, as he believes the answer is right under his nose. This is a pretty subtle hint to players that they need to use Void Surge, and if they do in front of him, they'll get the dialogue where he realizes Void is the answer. After this encounter, anytime you see a grub, you could attack it, and once it's hit, it becomes stunned. Walking up to it when it's stunned allows you to trap it, sealing it in the glass jars grubs are seen in Hollow Knight. This would act exactly as freeing the grubs does in Hollow Knight, Each time you encase one, you can return to the Tower of Love for a reward. Most of the time it would be Geo, but sometimes there will be some unique items as well. I will save the rest of this questline for another time, as there's still much more to go over in this video. One of the other hints Lem mentioned is the Colosseum. Heading into the Colosseum, you'll find it to be much like how it was in Hollow Knight. One difference would be that the little fool is not chained up yet, but works at the doorway inviting contestants to try their luck. He'll mention that there is currently a contest of champions going on, and any who wins earns the title of champion and a large portion of prize money. The current champion has not lost in a long time, and none have even come close to killing him. If you wish to try your luck, you'll need to pay for each attempt, but the cost will be pretty low. Once you do pay, you could enter the arena and face off against the Stag Jouster. This is a bug who rides upon a large stag and holds a long nail, like the Mantis Lords have. The fight would be fairly slow-paced, with the Jouster relying a lot on his stag to charge. He would have a simple charge attack, where the stag rushes from one side of the arena to the other, then spins around when it reaches the opposite side. The stag will rear up, then slam down to release a shockwave. The Jouster will throw his nail at you, then get the stag to charge after it. The Jouster will also occasionally parry you after his charge attacks. He will also vault off the stag, then attack with some normal melee attacks before jumping back on the stag. And finally, the stag would bury its antler into the ground, then use it to throw a bunch of rocks into the air. He will do this both when the stag is riding and when he isn't. If you defeat the Stag Jouster, the fighter will fall from the stag and slam into the ground, defeated. The stag will bow his head to you, and loads of geo will be thrown from the stands. The little fool will also offer you the choice between a mask shard and a vessel fragment. Whichever option you don't take could still be earned by completing further Colosseum challenges. After defeating the Jouster, you could find a stag located in the bottom room of the Colosseum. The stag would longingly mention the outside world, as his whole life has been spent within the Colosseum. If you go around the back of the Colosseum to where the Pale Lurker normally is, you could break down this wall and set the stag free. After this event, he would think you would run off and would now be one of the stags that could be randomly selected to take you to your destination. This new stag would have some story parts and dialogue that could be unlocked by continuing to use the stag station. I'll go over all of these parts over the next few videos, as this stag will become an essential and familiar character. Finally, we have Lem's last and most important rumor, the Prophet. He could be found by going to the Worm Skin. There, around where Hornet's second fight is, you would find a strange bug who would look familiar to anyone who has played the Colosseum a lot. This would be the Lord Fool, before he has truly become the master of the Colosseum and died there. If you talk to him, he'll claim that the worm rises once more, and with him his kingdom shall be reborn. Upon inspecting you, he'll claim that you are the perfect weapon to seek out the false deity and banish them from the light forever. He'll then press his hand to you, and a strange dark energy pulses around you, granting the aerial roll, an ability granted you to the strange power of the Worm King. The Prophet will bow to you, then tell you to go forward into Hollow Nest bearing his power. The aerial roll is a roll that allows you to go over air or roll midair. So, once you have that, you have all the abilities the Mothwing Cloak used to offer. You can now continue onwards to the Waterways and City of Tears. Or you can choose to continue onwards towards the worm body found in Hollow Knight. This would require some parkour with the new aerial roll. Once you get through it, you'll find yourself inside the body and will be able to obtain a new item, the Worm Skin. This would be a new item and is needed for a quest I hinted at last time. To use it, you'll need to head back to Deep Nest, however. In Deep Nest, you would find an area that requires both wall jump and dash to complete. After doing it, you would find yourself at a small hut with a strange bug inside. This is the Mask Maker, who looks the same now as he will eventually look in the time of Hollow Knight. When you find him, he won't have a mask on yet, and will instead be seen with the strange face that can be found by diving into him. When you talk to him, he'll claim that no masks are being made for fear of the king's wrath. He'll then remark that the king watches him because he knows his secret. He knows the mask he wears now. And finally, he'll say that a mask carved from ancient power can hide its wearer from the worm's watching eyes. If you bring the Mask Maker the worm skin, he'll ask how you got this, then say it doesn't matter as long as his mask works. He'll then get to work, and a few seconds later will appear again wearing one of the 3 masks seen in Hollow Knight. He'll then say that from the skin left over, he was able to create a smaller mask, and while it may not fit, there's still great power in it. He'll then grant you a minor blessing known as Mask Strength. This blessing would be very unique. How it works is that it offers a boost in damage based on how much health you have. But if you have less than half health, it will decrease the nail damage. So if you have a maximum of 10 masks and are at full health, your nail and spell deal double damage. The amount of damage decreases each time you take damage. At 9 masks, it's an 80% increase. At 8, 60%, and so on. Once you get to 5 masks remaining, the increase is 0%. Then at 4, it's a 20% decrease in damage. At 3, 40% decrease, and so on. Honestly, I wasn't sure what type of blessing this should be. On one hand, the ability to have double damage makes this seem like it should be a major blessing. But the chance to have a huge decrease in damage seems like it should balance this out, so I decided to make it a minor blessing. That's everything I planned for this video. Next video will be focused on City of Tears, and it will introduce a character I mentioned in the first video of this series. If you wanted to see that video, or if you enjoyed this one, please like and subscribe. I will see you next time to go over even more of my ideas.